Hello and welcome from the NYU IHIV conference. I am Trevor Simpson, staff writer at CoStar News, and I'm here with Julienne Smith, head of America's growth at Hyatt. Julienne, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So let's start with your return to Hyatt after about 7 years, right?
Yeah.
How did this come to be, and how has it been so far in this new role?
Yeah. Well, I started with Hyatt back in 2005 when the company started its franchising program and launched, at the time, Hyatt Place and what became Hyatt House. So they weren't a franchisor before then, all full-service hotels, all managed mostly, some owned, a lot owned actually. So I came on board when they made a concerted effort to franchise. So as part of that team, they went public. I stayed for about 14 years and really just professionally hit a ceiling. There wasn't a next step for me, and there was at a competitor. So I left, joined this other company for about 6 years, about 7 years ago now, and learned a lot and rejoined earlier this year. So I'm thrilled to be back at Hyatt.
Yeah, and it's an exciting time to rejoin Hyatt. Obviously, last year there was the big splash with the Playa Hotels deal, and obviously you'll have a hand in dealing with all of that. So what were your thoughts when you saw that deal, and how are you approaching that moving forward?
Well, listen, when I left in 2019, just prior, we had acquired Two Roads. So Thompson Hotels as an example. Then I left and a lot happened during that time period. We bought Playa, Apple Leisure, Standard Hotels, and I think almost doubled in that time period in terms of open properties. So our ability to really super serve that luxury lifestyle and now inclusive guest is unparalleled in the business. So it's pretty exciting what that does, because it creates a halo effect and the opportunity to have high impact hotels that our consumers are looking for to enjoy vacations and so forth. But then we also have opportunity to grow in smaller markets where people might be traveling for business.
Yeah, and it seems like the industry as a whole has shifted more toward that all-inclusive model, especially U.S. brands going into that CALA region. So, like you said, a little bit ahead of the trend in a way. How will that help you guys moving forward, already having that experience in the region?
Well, it'll help us with distribution, because there's some markets and arguably some small countries that really only cater to the all-inclusive customer. The European plan, sort of standard hotel, doesn't really fit. And consumers are looking for that all-inclusive experience. So we have the entire array of offering from mid-market all the way up to luxury, all-inclusive. So our ability to have product, hotels in those markets is now a reality when it wasn't before.
Yeah. And touching on the luxury segment, it's obviously been one of the best performing segments in the industry. Do you see that trend continuing into the future, and what sort of provides tailwinds for that?
Yeah. Well, listen, actually experiences and families looking for experiences, they don't have any socioeconomic barrier, right? All families want to go on vacation. It's sort of a United States of America rite of passage to go on vacation, whether it's a great American road trip or you're flying to some of these great locations. On the luxury segment, you are gifted with a group of customers who are not price sensitive. And as we see economies go up and down, this demographic typically still has the ability to travel and pay for those experiences in a higher end way than maybe some others. So I see that continuing. It has always been and seems to continue on. What could change that? I don't know. That's hard to tell. But we don't see an opportunity for that to decline in any way. And we're very thoughtful and purposeful about where we're going to grow. We're not trying to saturate in markets. We actually can't with the offerings that we have. So to be deliberate in growing in the right places with the right brands and the right developers is key for us.
And how about on the other side of that coin with the economy and mid-skill segments, maybe a little bit more price sensitivity from consumers now? How are you remaining focused on those segments as well?
So what we've done over the years, if you look at how we've expanded kind of down the chain scale, is we've expanded sort of one category down. So when we launched Hyatt Place, it's kind of a step down from Hyatt Regency, which is one of our most storied brands, actually the oldest brand that we have. So we went one step down. As that was continuing to grow, and Hyatt House was continuing to grow, we took another step down in the last couple of years and launched Hyatt Studios and Hyatt Select. And what that allows us to do is grow in markets where our consumers are going. The number one thing we hear from our consumers about why they don't choose us is because they don't have an option in markets. And there's a lot of secondary and strong tertiary markets where our guests are going, you know, kids soccer tournaments, things like that, whatever it might be. And we now have the ability to satisfy that demand. We're not in upper economy or economy. We're just, our consumers aren't there yet, maybe someday, but certainly not in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, gotcha. So in your new role, head of America's growth, what are your current goals and areas of focus for the department?
First of all, just strategically focused on where we're growing and what the team is focused on. We were a full service and select service company for a long time. We added all of these brands, and the ability to really divide and conquer and make sure we've got the teams focused on the right areas with the right owners is critical. So making sure that our teams are divided up correctly across the territory. And I would say the next big focus will be Latin America. We have a lot of opportunity to grow there. We have a new team through the HIC division, or Inclusive Collection division, and the ability to really focus on those markets and make sure we're growing in the right ways from a strategic standpoint is the next move.
Gotcha. Just in general, with development trends, there's a decent amount of headwinds facing the industry at large. Obviously, an increase in construction and labor costs, rising inflation, geopolitical environment, negative U.S. sentiment. How do you view these challenges in the short term and long term, and how do you work through it?
Yeah. I would say that there's still returns available for hotel investment. Perhaps not as rich as they once were, but there are still returns, and there are ways to make a capital stack work, and we help in that regard in some ways as well. We've also launched brands that are conversion friendly, like Hyatt Select as an example, which lenders favor more because it's a cash flowing asset. It's not a projection into future years as to what a new build might do. We still have a healthy new build pipeline, but I would say the ability to convert our hotels, which most of our brands are conversion friendly, but Hyatt Select was specifically set up for that model and has the ability to grow in a lot more markets. So that's one way of being able to grow with our owners. So we're offering a number of solutions for owners, whether it's our own balance sheet investment for some of those high impact developments or for our more growth oriented development opportunities like Hyatt Select or Hyatt Studios in particular. We're launching a program with Hall Structured Finance where we're providing lending at terms that are perhaps a bit more favorable than they can find on the market.
So you sort of touched on it a little bit, the balance between new builds and conversions. Seems like there's definitely been more of a trend toward conversions because of new build costs and stuff like that. How do you strike the right balance between focusing on projects that are conversion based and projects that are new builds?
I would say the nature of the way our team is set up, so we have the team is set up between sort of lifestyle and luxury and then essentials right now. And their focus is on negotiating with owners who are building hotels in the markets that they're in. So they're relationship experts. They know who's building hotels. And then they're market experts, where they want to be. And some markets might have available land that's makes sense from a price standpoint to build new construction. You have a lender who's excited about growing in that market. And then there's some markets where we might have our eye on an independent hotel or an available hotel where we can convert. So I would say it's really a market by market strategy. And that's why we have our teams oriented that way.
So it's pretty situational.
Exactly.
Okay. To end the interview, I like to always end on a more positive note. So just generally speaking, what are you optimistic about in the hotel industry moving forward?
I love the hotel industry. I actually, at one point in my career, looked at maybe going outside in an adjacent space. And what's great about it is we have really smart entrepreneurs who take risks in building hotels for a happy business. I mean, we're usually doing business, celebrating things here in hotels. And so you just have this hospitality DNA that permeates through the ownership group, which I really love. And they're going to continue to invest. When the pandemic happened, there was a thought that maybe some of our tried and true developers would focus on other things. And some have diversified and gone into senior living.
Right.
But many of them have just stayed in the hotel business and buckled down and focused more on their capital stack and their returns model and continue to build and operate. And I think we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, and even, like you said, those who left during the pandemic, you're starting to see more come back.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Julienne, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm STR's Isaac Colazo.
And I'm CoStar's Jan Freitag. And together we are the data geeks behind Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast work.
Every month, we bring you a fresh take on the latest hotel data, insights into the travel trends behind that performance, and the big picture topics you should be thinking about.
And we also don't mind getting into some good-natured disagreement from time to time. Hey, when Isaac and I start talking data together, anything can happen, and it usually does.
Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen.
This episode of the CoStar News Hotels podcast was recorded on June 1st, 2026 and edited by Trevor Simpson. Visit CoStar.com/hotel news for the latest industry coverage and look for all of our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or your platform of choice.